Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is RJ Horner, host and facilitator for Live and Love Life, back with another day in our study for wealth building. I'm on a mission for myself to become rich, to build my wealth, whatever that may be. Um, and that means I need to study it. I need to learn more about it. I've still yet to build my wealth. I've still been struggling in that area. And it's my mission to change that. It's my mission to not only build wealth for myself, but help others build wealth as along the way. Now, I can't presume to teach you how to build wealth. I don't have that skill yet, but I have other people who do. I have people within my community who could teach you how to build a better life, how to build wealth while building a better life. And so I've been following their purpose and their mission. And so I'm looking to study wealth and to become wealthy, and this is part of that. So we begin again with day 5 in our study, and this is now chapter 4 for the science of getting rich. Wallace D. Wattles, attracting financial success through creative thought. So once again, we move on to chapter 4, the first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches. Or you probably haven't heard any of that. So once again, I'm back to study for myself how to get rich, how to build wealth. And I'm working on that with my other mentors who are teaching me how to be rich. Again, I can't presume to teach you how to build wealth, but I have people within my community who can certainly help do that. So that's my mission here, is to help build a life you love to live. And you can't build a life you love to live without money. It just doesn't happen. We always struggle without money. So money can't make you happy, but it can certainly make that happiness happen through the things we get to enjoy. So we're going to study the science of getting rich from Wallace D. Wattles, and we're moving on to chapter 4, the first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. The stuff from which all things are made is a substance which thinks. A thought of form in this substance produces the form. Original substance moves according to its thoughts. Every form and process you see in nature is the visible expression of a thought in the original substance. As it thinks of a form, it takes that form. As it thinks of a motion, it takes that motion. That is the way all things were created. We live in a thought world, and the world is a part of a thought universe. The thought of a moving universe extended throughout the formless substance. The thinking stuff resulting from that thought took the form of systems of planets and continues to maintain that form. Thinking substance takes the form of its thought and moves according to the thought, holding the idea of a circling system, holding the thought of a circling system of suns and worlds. It took the form of these bodies and moved them accordingly. Although centuries may be required to do the work, by thinking the form of a slow-growing tree, the formless substance produces the tree. In creating the formless substance seems to move according to the lines of motion it has established. The thought of an oak tree does not cause the instant formation of a full-grown tree, but it does start in motion the forces which will produce the tree along established lines of growth. Every thought of form held in thinking substance causes the creation of that form, but always, or at least generally, along the lines of growth and action already established. If the thought of a house of a certain construction were pressed upon the formless substance, it might not cause the instant formation of that house, but it would cause the turning of creative energies already working in trade and commerce into such channels as to result in the speedy building of that house. but it would cause turning energy. It would cause the turning of creative energies already working in trade and commerce into such channels as to result in a speeding building of the house. And if there were no existing channels through which the creative energy could work, the house would be formed directly from primal substance. Without waiting for the slow process of the organic and inorganic world, no thought of form can be impressed upon the original substance without causing the creation of that form. A human being is a thinking center and can originate thought. All the forms that a person fashions with his hands must first emerge from his thoughts. He cannot shape a thing until he has thought that thing. And so far, man has confined his efforts wholly to the work of his hands. He has applied manual labor to the world of forms, seeking to change or modify already existing forms. He has never thought of trying to cause the creation of new forms by impressing his thoughts upon the formless substance. When a person has a thought form, he takes material from the forms of nature and makes an image of the form which is in his mind. He has, so far, made little or no effort to cooperate with the formless intelligence, to work with the Father. He has not dreamed that he can do what he seeth the Father doing. Man reshapes and modifies existing forms by manual labor. He cannot consider the question of whether he could produce things from the formless substance by communicating his thoughts to it. I propose to prove that he may do so, to prove that any man or woman may do so, and to show how. My first step will be to lay down the three fundamental propositions. First, we assert that there is one original formless substance from which all things are made. All the seemingly many elements are only different presentations of one element. All the many forms found in organic and inorganic nature are only different shapes made from the same stuff. And this stuff is thinking stuff. A thought held in it produces the form of the thought. Thought in thinking substance produces shapes. A human being is a thinking center, capable of original thought. If a person can communicate his thought to original thinking substance, he can cause the creation or formation of the thing he thinks about. To summarize this, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought. A person can form things in his thoughts, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. I can prove these statements by both logic and experience, reasoning back from the phenomena of form and thought. I come to one original thinking substance, and reasoning forward from this thinking substance, I come to the individual's power to cause the formation of the thing he thinks about. By experiment, I find this reasoning to be true, and this is my strongest proof. If one person who reads this book gets rich by doing what I tell him to do, that is evidence in support of my claim. Furthermore, if every person who does what I tell him to do to get riches, that is proof, positive proof, until someone goes through the process and fails. The theory is true until the process fails. And this process will not fail because every person who does exactly what I tell him to do will get rich. I have said that an individual gets rich by doing things in a certain way. In order to do so, a person must become able to think in a certain way. A person's way of doing things is the direct result of the way he thinks about things. To do things in a way you want to do them, you will have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think. This is the first step towards getting rich. To think what you want to think is to think truth regardless of appearances. Every person has the natural and inherent power to think what he wants to think, but it requires far more effort to do so than it does to think the thoughts which are suggested by appearances. To think according to appearances is easy. To think truth regardless of appearances is laborious and requires the expenditure of more power than any other work a person has to perform. There is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. This is especially true when the truth is contrary to appearances. Every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind which observes it. This can only be prevented by holding the thought of the truth. To look upon the appearance of disease will produce the form of disease in your own mind, and ultimately in your body. Instead, you must hold the thought of the truth, which is that there is no disease. Disease is only an appearance, and the reality is health. To look upon the appearances of poverty will produce corresponding forms in your own mind. Instead, you must hold the truth that there is no poverty. There is only abundance. It requires power to think health when surrounded by the appearances of disease, or to think riches when in the midst of the appearances of poverty. But he who acquires this power becomes a mastermind. He can conquer fate. He can have what he wants. This power can only be acquired by getting hold of the basic fact which is behind all appearances, that there is one thinking substance from which and by which all things are made. Then we must grasp the truth that every thought held in this substance becomes a form, and that a person can express his thoughts upon it so as to cause them to take form and become visible things. When we realize this, we lose all doubt and fear because we know that we can create what we want to create. We can get what we want to have and can become what we want to be. As a first step toward getting rich, you must believe the three fundamental statements given previously in this chapter. In order to emphasize them, I will repeat them here. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing it is imagined by the thought. A person can form things in his thoughts, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the things he thinks about to be created. You must lay aside all other concepts of the universe than this monistic one. You must dwell upon this until it is fixed in your mind, has become your habitual thought. Read these creed statements over and over again. Fix every word upon your memory and meditate upon them until you firmly believe what they say. If a doubt comes to you, cast it aside as a sin. Do not listen to arguments against this idea. Do not go to churches or lectures where a contrary concept of things is taught or preached. Do not read magazines or books which teach a different idea. If you get mixed up in your faith, all your efforts will be in vain. Do not ask why these things are true, nor speculate as to how they can be true. Simply take them on trust. The science of rich begins with the absolute acceptance of this faith. So that's our reading today on chapter 4. I think we've come to a point where we realize that thoughts are things. That's exactly what it's telling us, is that thoughts are things. I don't know if any of you or how many of you read Think and Grow Rich, but that's the exact concept in Think and Grow Rich, that things are created twice, Napoleon Hill says, first in your mind and then in reality. And that's exactly what's happening here. I can tell you in my real estate, I said I have a real estate project in mind, and that was first created up here. It was first created in my mind. And now that it's been created in my mind, I'm now pursuing it to make it a physical reality. I'm trying to turn it into what I imagine it to be. And it is happening. I've got people who are now getting behind me and adapting to the concept and helping me to make it a reality, to help work it along. So, and even with this platform, Live and Love Life, that was something that was created in my mind first. I had to imagine it, imagine what this community could be. I could imagine us working together for a better tomorrow, which is what my vision is. Um, and then when I developed my mission, it was to help each of us to build a life you love to live. Your life is different than mine. Your thoughts are different than mine. Each of us has different ways we look at things, but each of us has our own reality. Your thoughts being true for you, my thoughts being true for me. They cannot, they may overlap, but they cannot be equal or similar or exactly the same. We each have unique thoughts, we each have unique ideas. But in order to get rich, it's really about producing and working on those thoughts and developing those thoughts into something that is very much tangible and real. I've already become aware of this, but again, now I'm studying. Why am I not rich yet? Why am I not wealthy yet? And it also said here in the chapter today, it doesn't happen overnight. The creation of the world didn't happen in one day. It happened over eons. And that's the same thing with whatever you dream about. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen immediately. But if we start to study it as we're studying it, and we start to work on these things and implement them into our life, that better life will come. That wealth building will come. As long as you're consistently keeping the image in your mind and working towards that image. I've gotten this concept. I've embraced this concept. So I'm looking to what's next, what comes next, because I know what I'm working for. I know what I'm working to. I tell people, look, I'm RJ Horner. This is my statement. My mission statement is that I'm RJ Horner. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing to get there. And I keep working towards that. That's what I'm doing. That's who I am. And if I didn't work to develop myself, I'd stagnate and become death itself. I would eventually die because I would have no hope to live. So it's that hope that carries me forward. It's that hope and the desire that keeps me wanting more and keeps me wanting to build that life that I would love to live. And again, I've struggled financially. Now, they say money doesn't bring happiness. And of course it does not. But when you're struggling and you can't afford to pay for those things you love and pay for those things you enjoy, you can't have that happiness. So you could be happy with money, or you could be happy without money, or unhappy, sorry. And you could be unhappy with money, and you can be unhappy without money. So work on building money is the way I see it, because then it gives you more options and more opportunities to enjoy life. So thank you for that. I think we've adapted and embraced the concept that all thoughts become things. Everything starts out first with a thought, and then we take that thought and make it reality. So that's our reading and our study for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been informative. And again, as I mentioned, my mentors are re-releasing this book, and I recommend you get your hands on a copy. We're making it available through Live and Love Life, and you can go to www.live-life.ca/SOGR, and that's for Science of Getting Rich. Once again, that's www.live-love-life.ca/SOGR. So once again, and then our website, please visit us for more, which is www.live-love-life.ca. And please share these videos. There's other people out there who may not have embraced the concept, may wonder why why they haven't achieved wealth yet, why they haven't become rich. They dream about it. They dream of winning the lottery, but they haven't figured out why they're not wealthy yet. So please share these videos. I think this is an important study, and it's an important concept to embrace. There's more than enough wealth to go around. I believe in that. One of my visions is to share the wealth. And I want to share the wisdom, share the wealth, and share the love. That's part of our process here. And it begins with you becoming rich. It really does. There's no reason why we shouldn't be rich in this modern day and age. So um, do what you can and think of how you can build that wealth for yourself and for your family and for enjoying those things you would love. Um, Once again, that's our study for today. Um, I'm RJ Horner. Thank you for joining me here in Live and Love Life. Better days ahead.